The fun of furikake is when it's on top of rice, right? Now then, it's done.
The heat from the rice is melting it. And as it melts, it coats more and more of the rice. I get it! Transforming furikake rice!
Hey guys, I'm Vince, this is Taylor, and we're here on Chefs of Anime, ready to go ahead and make what you just saw, Yukiharu's Furikake Gohan.
Which his is actually special because it's using the chicken broth to add a little extra golden gleam to the dish.
What you saw in the episode was Yukiharu basically trying to impress Irina with his own special cooking, trying to prove to her that he can make any dish that would basically impress her. So in today's episode, which is the second dish of the series, we're going to try to make that right here for anybody that can eat. So what we have in front of you are going to be an assortment of dishes, and we're going to go ahead and film it as we go ahead and cook it. And Taylor's going to be doing a lot of the prep, and we already kind of have some of the stuff already set to go. So Taylor, take it away.
Yeah, some pretty basic stuff so far. We've got sake, mirin, soy sauce, light soy sauce, a little bit of dashi powder, sugar, and I still have to prep the ginger and the chicken wings. So we're gonna go ahead and get that taken care of really quick before we can continue on to our next steps.
When buying wings from the grocer, they'll usually come in whole pieces. These whole pieces can be cut down into 3 separate parts: a drumette, a wingette, and then the wing tip. For the purposes of this recipe, all you really need are the drums, and the wing tips you can keep on the side if you'd like for fat, but you definitely want to keep the wingettes for that extra fat for the gelatin. When preparing your ginger, you want to make sure that your ginger is completely skin-free from the root. And then you want to make sure that it's cut into a block size so that it can be easily grated. Next, we'll be putting in the sesame oil with the pan at a medium heat and then giving it a little swirl so that the pan is lightly coated. After your oil has been properly heated, you can place your chicken wing parts into the pan. The goal of this is not to thoroughly cook them, but to make sure that the skin is golden brown. As it's frying with the sesame oil, it's going to help lock in that flavor. Ah, yes, this is the exact color you'd like to have your wings. There's this beautiful, rich, and golden color after pan-searing your wings.
Now that we went ahead and made our chicken golden brown, we used about 4 wing and drum chickens, or 200 grams. So now that we went ahead and browned these, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna put it on the side, and we're gonna make sure that we have our oil. We're gonna use this for later.
And next, we're gonna come in with a small sauce pot that's got about 3 cups of water, or 700 milliliters. We're gonna take all of our ingredients together, get that to high, and while we are waiting for that to warm up, we're gonna start getting all of our ingredients together in the pot. So that was our chicken wings. It's about 5 grams of dashi, the sake. This is our light soy sauce, mirin, sugar, and that fresh grated ginger you saw. And now, we wait for all this to come to a boil. Alright, and now that we've reached a steady rolling boil, we're just going to skim any of the grossness that floats off to the top. Alright, now that we've reached a rolling boil, we are just going to bring off anything that has risen to the top and get it off to the side and out of there. Reduce to a low simmer, cover, and let it go for an hour. Alright, now that our chicken wings have been simmering for an hour, we're going to remove the chicken wings from the broth and set them aside for later. And then we're going to take all the broth itself, strain it, and let it sit and cool. Carefully so they don't split apart too much. Just lay them in the bowl to cool. And now for our aspic, I'm going to use, it's just a bread tin, something you can pick up at any local supermarket, and a little mesh strainer. I'm going to take our pot that has all of our broth in it and use a hot pad underneath because it'll help me control my pour. I'll just strain it right into there. Perfect. And from there, we're just going to let it cool down a little bit and then put it in the fridge to solidify for about 2 to 3 hours. And our next step is actually going to be separating the meat itself from the rest of the chicken. So we're going to get all the dark meat away from the bone, skin, and cartilage.
So today is gonna actually be day 2 of the recipe. So we unfortunately had a little bit of a few mishaps when we went to make the dish. One, probably the audio issue. There's nothing worse when you realize that your jack is going right into the headphone slot instead of the microphone slot.
And as far as food issues goes, we had a little bit of an issue with the aspic setting properly. Because as it got later and later on in the evening, we kept checking how it was holding up and firming, and it just wasn't. So we had to give it some extra time in the fridge, a little bit of time in the freezer just to make sure everything was right. One thing that you could probably do to help prevent that is actually using the whole chicken wing. We threw away the very tips and we also separated everything, which I would still say separate everything so all of the marrow and everything else that helps it set can come out during the cooking process, but maybe use all the pieces of your chicken wings. Second, our aspic is a little bit darker. That's because we had a relatively small range of soy sauces, probably compared to what Yukihira has. So it's going to look a little bit different. It's not going to have that golden bouncy color, unfortunately. It's going to be a little bit darker.
So without further ado, on to the next part of the recipe.
Yep. Alright guys, so the next steps that we have to go through are going to be pretty simple. This is all of the assembly. So first step, we are going to get the eggs ready. We're going to scramble them until they are just small little nuggets. After that, we are going to prep everything. So our aspic is going to get cut into pieces. Kinda, maybe. Oh, they're just falling apart. Then we're going to have our eggs to the side, we're going to have our rice ready, and we're going to have the chicken ready as well. And after that, it all just comes together, and I'll show you guys a neat trick with some spring onion too. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this at a very heavy bias to one side, so that they're really, really long, thin strips. Once we have that, we'll give them a little dunk in ice water to kind of remove some of that bitterness, and they'll actually curl up a little bit and look even fancier on top of your dish.
So there you have it, the Furikake Gohan, and it actually looks pretty great. The slush, I guess, earlier when we tried to do like a little bit of a freeze to it, didn't actually retain anything. But if you take a look at it, you can tell that this actually spread itself out evenly, really nicely, and well, looks good.
And just like in the show, it's actually kind of melted down into some of the rice and the chicken, so hopefully that gives a huge kick of flavor.
I want to eat it already.
Go.
Let's try it.
Dig in. Get yourself a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah.
Green onion, a little bit of rice, a little bit of chicken.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I did not expect to get hit with that, with the sweetness.
I think it's from the eggs because the eggs did have salt and sugar in them. So I really think that's where a lot of the sweetness comes from. That green onion cuts through that just a little bit for a little pop of flavor. The way that aspic actually did leak down in there added kind of a richness to the rice. It kind of coated everything a little bit and made it excellent. We have outdone ourselves, I do
Chicken's
believe.
really good too.
Come on, get on there, egg. You got this.
Oh my god. This is really good. Like, I'm actually surprised at how, even though the aspic got messed up in this process, it still seemed like it retained all the flavor. All the stuff that we kind of broke down. And honestly, I mean, we considered putting it all into like a squeeze bottle and maybe using it as a drizzle instead, but this is
worked
great.
out okay.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. So what do you think? Out of 10?
8. 8.
That's exactly where I was gonna
Yeah,
put
I
it
was
too.
gonna say an 8 because I don't like sugar in my eggs, but it just hit me out of nowhere and I was like, what is that? And you know, I forgot we put sugar in it.
Yeah, and I mean there's that little bit of the kind of the fishiness from the dashi that's still seeping down in the eggs and kind of coating everything.
Yeah.
So you get that kind of umami flavor in there too. It's actually pretty excellent.
Yeah,
Especially for like a kind of some parts didn't go quite as planned execution. I mean, we still nailed it.
I feel like this would be great for breakfast, lunch. I don't know if I would eat this for dinner, but I mean, unless you really like eating eggs for dinner, I mean, that'd be great. Otherwise, yeah.
Solid meal.
Yeah, solid meal.
The technique behind it was good.
Yeah, pretty great. Thank you so much for coming in and watching us recreate the Furikake Gohan from Shokugeki no Soma. So if you liked exactly what you saw, please go ahead, tip us with that like, and then also subscribe to the bottom right-hand corner in the red button.
And if you want to know when the next dish comes up to the pass, go ahead and hit that bell too.
Don't you want to say like when when the next order's up?
I mean, coming up to the pass means it just got out of the kitchen and it's coming up and ready to be served.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kitchen terminology.
Kitchen terminology. I'm sorry. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on our Food Wars journey in recreating every dish we possibly can from the anime. And also, just to remind you, I'm Vince.
I'm Taylor.
And we're the chefs of anime.
Thank you.